Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome in to Forte Catholic Podcast, episode 198. We've got a couple of updates for you before we get started. I'm going to be posting these each segment as a separate video, just kind of make it an easier chunk for people to watch. I've tried this out in the past, and you guys seem to like that. So all the content's still coming here to YouTube, but this is just part 1, part 2, and 3 are also in the playlist, so go check those out. Also, if you like what's going on here, please like and subscribe. I would truly, truly appreciate it. All right, without further ado, enjoy this episode. Olivia, hello!
Hi, Taylor.
I know that you don't listen to the podcast, but we've broken the mold here recently, and
Okay.
I'm just completely changing the intro every time just to throw people off, and I'm enjoying it. I really am.
Oh, that sounds like you.
It really does. Welcome back. We almost match. We're both wearing some shade of red,
We are. Yes.
and the shade of red behind me should look very familiar to people, but I did rearrange this room. So this is the first time recording in this new setup. It's still the same room. Don't worry. The hot water heater's still right next to me, and the alcohol cabinet's still right next to me. But I have a ton more room now for activities, just like in Step Brother. Are you familiar with this movie?
I've seen parts.
It's like when they that's a dangerous thing to say about that movie. But it's like when they get bunk beds and like the
Yeah.
room gets twice as large. Like
Right.
this room feels twice as large now, and I'm really enjoying it.
It looks good. I mean, from what I can tell, I noticed immediately. So
You did really?
I did. Yeah, I really, really did.
It's surprising
looks
because
good.
most people are just distracted by my stunningly good looks and then the
Well-
red and black background. We had another guest make the checkers joke, and like the part of me loves, as much as things are changing, part of me loves the consistency of people
Yeah.
making fun of me with the same joke. I
I
love
just see
it.
Texas Tech. That's all
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. I know.
Go Red Raiders or whatever.
There you go.
So, which is where you went to school, and we're gonna go down memory lane a little bit today and the reason we're doing this is both of us had not our best weeks. I haven't let you in on this because I knew you were having a bad week, and you won like the bad week category. So I don't like things where I don't win, and you won worst week, but it doesn't
Yeah.
mean I had a good one, right?
Okay. Yeah,
But-
that's fair.
So part of me wants to win, and part of me wants to be a good person. Again, just part. But you were having a tough week, and I've been having a tough week. We don't have to completely get into it, but my tum-tum hurts. Like, that's the main thing
Aw.
going on with me.
It's
Yeah,
not COVID, is it?
I don't think that affects the tum-tum. I mean,
It does. That's
it do-
actually one of the signs.
oh, great. Phenomenal.
It is actually.
I got tested like 3 weeks ago, so unless I contracted it in the
So
last
you're
few
fine.
weeks. And
Well-
I think it was you that I talked with about that test on the air.
Ooh,
I'm not getting
yeah.
tested again. I'd rather have COVID than get that test again.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
But here's the thing. Anytime I'm having a rough week, and this is mainly a favor to you because I'm a generous and loving individual, and everyone that watches the show, listens to the show, knows that. So welcome in today. I don't know if I said my name. I'm Taylor Schroll. This is Forte Catholic. That's the craziness you've been listening to for the last 3 minutes. But anytime things aren't going well, I do the healthy thing and try not to focus on the present. I think that's a good thing. Maybe we'll bring back our counselor from last week and see if that's good. I don't think it's good at all, actually. But there is something about, so like, they always say God's always in the present. He's
Right?
they say he's not in the future or the past. I would argue, but that's just theologians being silly. I think he's everywhere, but he's most present in the present, right? Because that's where we are, and we're in time, and that's where we encounter God. And again, we're talking about God really early in the show. We're breaking the mold again. But here's the thing: is that like it's so often that in order to encounter God now, if we're not feeling that encounter now, or things aren't going well, or the world's falling apart and we're on like day 138 or whatever of being stuck inside, it can be hard to find God in the difficult moments. So what we have to do is do the things that Christians and the people of God in the Old Testament were doing for forever. They look to the past to show where God already proved himself, And hopefully that would give us some clarity for the present and hope for the future. Like that's kind of how the whole testament thing worked out, right? So here I am. And anytime things are going bad in the present, like there's no future. Like I'm just going to die, like everything's falling apart. Everything's going to be bad. So it's actually healthy in those times to look back at the past, right? And see what happened there. So what you and I are going to do is play a little game to get this started. I prepped you for this while I was in the Walgreens parking lot trying to make my tum-tum feel better. So I called you and I said, hey, here's what we're going to do on today's show. We're both going to pick ages for each other, and we're both going to try to come up with the biggest memory or two from that year of our life. So I would say, like, as an example, I'll start. I'll give you the year when you were 15. I know it was like 107 years ago, but when you were 15,
were you born when I was 15?
Let's see. I was trying to do this without giving away your age.
I don't care.
But I can't answer that question without knowing your age. I do think I was alive. I don't think you're 15 years older than me, but I think it's pretty dang close.
I don't know.
Now I want to know.
You're 30, I'm 42. So that's 12.
Okay. It's 12 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew I was close, but I knew close. I was in dangerous waters. So I just stopped.
Babysat you.
Yeah. Don't sit on babies. That's terrible. So when you were 15, Olivia Harrison, that is who is with me. She goes by Liv, and she likes to be called that, which is why I call her Olivia. So what is your biggest memory from when you were 15 years old?
When I was 15 years old, I met my husband. Like,
Aww.
How crazy is that? Yeah, it probably is. Like, I was trying to think of something else.
How many years till he noticed you?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, we became best friends at 16. So not that long. I mean, he knew who I was at that day, but I met him at my house. I didn't know who he was. Some kid brought him, and I was ticked. I was so mad. I was like,
because you had a crush on the other guy?
No. I really, at that time, I didn't have a crush on anybody, which I was, I guess, in between crushes. And I wasn't immediately having a crush on Nathan. I did notice how cute I thought he was, but he was so arrogant. I obviously like arrogant men who are mean and...
There's no correlation to this show at all. Not one.
I obviously think that's a healthy relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I thought he was such a jerk. He had a do-rag on his head. He had his letter jacket on. He went to a different high school than I did, 6'1". And I was so angry that this kid just showed up to my house and I didn't know who the flip he was.
I just have to pause and if you don't know Liv's husband, you go follow Liv on Instagram at the Liv Harrison and look at her husband and imagine that man with a do-rag on. It's the funniest mental image.
It is.
He never had a fro.
Funny.
He never had waves. That's not a thing.
And he got best offensive lineman senior year. He was huge. He's not like really skinny and like
that wasn't when you were 15. You're not allowed to talk about that right now.
He was big. He was like strong and like blah. So yeah, so he looks totally different. And yeah, so there you go. So that's my biggest memory. I just remember being ticked. And then I ran to the kitchen because he was such a jerk. We're watching The Fugitive with the entire youth group, and he kept saying everything that was going to happen, like that guy's going to die, that guy's going to blow off his face, that's guy, whatever, I don't know. And
what a strange prediction.
Oh, so I don't know. I was so mad. I was like, dude, shut the flip up. And I ran and I got my mom, and I said, do you see that guy? And she was like, the one with the handkerchief on his head? And I was like, Mom. It's
in case he gets boogies.
It's cool, Mom. He's cool. I was like, isn't he so cute? And so obviously I loved that he was a jerk. So there you go.
So
that's my biggest memory for 15.
Part of this idea is like, are these positive or negative memories? And I'm not sure with yours. I met my husband. I hated him.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I was so annoyed. I thought he was hot, but I thought he was annoying. And so whatever. But yeah, no, it was positive. I mean, I'm glad we've had a long story since that. We've been married 20 years and together. He didn't ask me out until we were 17. So we just had our 25th. So I've known him 27 years. It's almost your age.
That is pretty insane. That's true.
We've been together a long time, Taylor. You're thinking, how does Nathan do it?
So here's the thing. Yeah, you haven't asked me an age yet, but I was thinking.
I'm ready.
I think about my first memory a lot. My first memory, I was around 2 or 2.5.
Okay.
It's the only memory I have till I'm about 5. And I went over to my next door neighbor's house. I grew up I lived my first 2.5 years in League City, Texas. And my next door neighbors were very elderly at the time. And I went over. Do you remember the juice boxes that were like the monkey barrels?
Yeah, totally. I was never allowed those.
I drank them as a kid. You probably gave them to your kids.
Were they called Hugs?
I don't remember. I was 2.5. So.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's fair. With the foil top, it had like a foil lid.
So
yeah.
I went next door. The old people gave me one of those, and that's my first and only memory until I'm about 5. And here's the thing, Liv. I had that memory when you met your husband.
How sad is that? I wanted to ask about 8-year-old Taylor or 12-year-old Taylor. I don't know why those two popped up. You can choose. You could talk about both. I don't know.
So
do either of those stand out?
Here's the thing. I was thinking about it, and like, I don't know. When I was going through ages, I figured we would kind of go from young to older, older and older and older. And I think all of my years until like junior high are like, they all just bleed together. Like, I don't know what happened what year. Are you that way? Like with your child, like when, like before 10 or like even into 12? Like, I don't know specifically what happened. So when I was 8.
It's like when Plato gets together and you're like, I don't really know how to separate that at this point.
Like the philosopher?
The 3 different, Plato. Like, the 3 like different colors. And you're like, I don't know what color it is now. Anyway, go ahead. So you're 8.
That's whatever. So I'm 8 years old, which puts me in like what? 2nd or 3rd grade? 3rd grade?
I think so.
So 12 would put me in like 5th or 6th grade. Okay. So, one of my biggest memories from when I was in like, around 6th grade. So like, I've talked about it before, but like, that's the year 9/11 happened. So like, obviously that's a big memory.
I was teaching. That's depressing. Go ahead.
You were my teacher, actually. You tried to give me D-Hall and I said no. And you were like, well, fine.
I really could have been. That's so sad.
So, the other one, I've talked about that memory before, but like one of the other memories that I have, that was the year we learned how to play recorder. Do you remember the recorder?
When you were 12 or 8? 8.
When I was 12. No.
Really?
No. We did it in middle school.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but I don't develop really quickly. Mentally, that is. I was a grown man physically at 12.
That's funny.
But, that's probably happened around that time, around 12 or 13. I shaved my face for the first time, and my friends didn't do that for another 5 years.
Well, you have a very full beard. I mean, you look like you've been practicing this for a long time. So.
Also at 8 was when my hairline started receding.
Do you shave? Do you shave now? Like, is this you? You shave, right?
I don't understand why no one knows this. Like John Blevins did this.
No,
we've met. You come here once a month. We have COVID.
Groomed together. I've never watched you groomed.
You've
Taylor.
seen my body. Like, I don't understand. John said the same thing. He's like, "Oh, you're bald." It's like, yes, I've been bald since I got married.
I don't know what you do. Do you shave it, Taylor? What do you do to keep it bald?
Well, most of it's gone on its own. Hence the bald. And I shave the rest of it so I don't look like a Franciscan friar.
You don't want to have the tufts, like the whatever situation going on.
Oh, man. And those tough situations have happened plenty of times during COVID because I just like, what do I care? I'm not leaving.
Well, but you wear a hat a lot. And in your logo, you have a hat. So in all fairness, I defend John.
Well, you can't defend John or yourself because you see me way more often than you see my logo. And the fact that neither of you knew I was bald.
I know you're bald. I just said how. I didn't know if it was Jesus balding or if it was a Taylor balding. I didn't know where we were.
What does that even mean?
I didn't
Jesus
know if
balding?
Jesus took away all your hair and all your hair is gone because Jesus made it
Yes,
that way.
I was very vain. I've told this story before. I was very vain, and I had precious hair. It was blonde and brown and very shiny, and I wore it like in a faux hawk, and I was very good looking. And then not only did I lose my hair, but Jesus was so mad at me that he made me realize that I have this mole on the top of my head. My hair hid that my whole life, and that's right after the mole is where my hair stops growing. So that's awesome.
Oh.
Now we're bringing up bad memories. Okay, we got to get back to you. One more
Right.
from you. So
All right.
you're old. So best memory from I'm 30 now. Your best memory from when
Yeah.
you were 30. That would be
When I was 30.
so a
You know
long
what?
time ago when you
All
were
right.
my age.
Okay, 12 years. Calm down. Actually, my 30th birthday was sadly, is that sad? It was actually my best. It was kind of like
Peaked
it
early.
peaked. It did. It was amazing. My husband surprised me. That's the last surprise party I've had. Not only that, he surprised me, but then he had a stretch limousine come to the house. It was at my parents' house. My mom made my favorite meal, and everything was done in black and hot pink, which is weird because that's my brand now. That's weird. I haven't thought about that actually. And all these people were there, and they all surprised me, and all my favorite food, favorite people. And then he gave me this book. He had everyone that like in my life write me a letter. And it was beautiful. And then we hopped in this car, this limousine, and it took us back to the hotel where we spent our first night as husband and wife. And he had decorated it with roses and notes and chocolates. It was awesome. It was like bad A. So that I don't even know what else happened that 30th year. I have no idea.
I hope my 30th. Well, I was about to say I was about to say I hope my 30th year is more memorable than yours, and then I realized what's already happened in my 30th year.
Yours
like
sucks.
You know, the world falling apart, everything falling apart. So yeah, that's 30.
Yeah.
So we looked
That's
back.
my best.
We looked back at time, and we found some great memories, as few as they were. We found some terrible memories, like you meeting your husband, and we were able to look back at these times. And here's kind of where I wanted to go with this. So we have good memories, and we talked at the beginning how God is here in the present, but in the times where God is hard to find in the present, we have to look back to the times where God has shown up, God has proven himself. And like, obviously there are those in scripture, but I find for me, the ones that are even more powerful, which sounds strange, right? The coolest thing in the world that ever happened was the resurrection. A dude said he was God, and then he died, and then he came back to life. But my experience of experiencing that Jesus that resurrected is often more powerful than just recalling that story. Does that make sense? So it's like,
Yeah.
yes, that story in and of itself is way more powerful on its own, but subjectively, I look back on times where I felt God and I knew God was real and I knew God's presence was with me and guiding me. And those are the things that can often get me through difficult times where I don't see him right now. And it's like, well, I can literally look back and say there were other times where I didn't see God working in the moment. And I look back now and I see that those were some of my big times where God showed up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my encouragement for myself and for you and for everybody listening is that we all know this has been a hard 130 something days. It really has been difficult. And it's been the experience for me and the experience for a lot of other people that it's been hard to find God in the midst of this difficult time. And I think one of the things that we could try, if you haven't tried it yet, is to look back and I went to a retreat once with Father Ryan Higdon, and he's like, what are the, how David went to go get 5 stones. He's like, what are the 5 stones that you have in your pocket? The 5 memories of when God really showed up, and to be able to go back through those 5 things whenever you're not being able to find God, to remind you God is real, God loves me, and he's here even if I don't feel him.
Are you asking me what the 5 things are?
No. That's the end of the segment. I was just waiting for you to close. No, it's not my answers though, Liv. It would be your 5. I don't know your 5. You don't know mine. That's not the point. I'm glad. Wow. I hope this segment made more sense to the listener than it did to you. Because boy, That was a long setup and a lot of
Listen,
things I thought
I
we
was
would make at
really
one point.
invested. I don't know if I've ever listened that intently to you in my entire life. I was
You
like,
haven't.
let's hear the 5. Let's hear 'em.
No,
I thought you had the
I
answer.
kept stuttering because I was looking at you paying attention to me and it threw me
I
off.
was. It threw me off. I've never wanted to hear more out of your mouth in my entire life.
Well, that's a great time to end this segment. We'll be right back with Joe Melendrez. Don't go anywhere.